Well, hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Null Podcast. Coming up in this episode, new AI hardware called Friend. Is TP-Link the latest Chinese security threat? And Waymo self-driving cars that won't stop honking even at 4 a.m. in the morning. And make sure to stick around to the end for our weekly AI-generated themed outro song.
Welcome to the Not Null Podcast. I'm just an AI voice, but here are your real hosts, Kevin Doyle, Sarah Kimmel, and Bobby Davis.
So jumping on the back of hugely successful recent AI hardware like the Rabbit R1 and the Humane AI pin, and I say that in jest because neither of those were successful at all. Absolute failures. I would call them major failures. Major failures. There is a new piece of AI hardware, and this piece of AI hardware is called Friend. So this is from actually, I'll talk about the piece of hardware first. This is designed to be a constant companion, so you're never lonely, hence the name, a friend, if you will. It's a $99 pre-order, requires no subscription, which we'll talk about in a second. It is basically, as you can see for those that are watching here on YouTube, it is a pendant necklace that you wear around your neck. It connects to your phone via Bluetooth. It is basically a microphone on a chain that is listening to you all of the time. It is always listening, which is kind of creepy. All responses are on your phone. There's not a speaker in this, so it does not speak back to you. So basically, it listens to you. It will text you at various moments in time randomly, which in the demo was really creepy. It like gives you affirmations and says, you got this kind of stuff. Like it's your friend, right? You can also ask it questions and those messages come back on your phone as well. This company received $2.5 million in funding. And we'll talk about where that $2.5 million in funding goes here in a second. But first, let's talk about who's behind this. So who made this? This is not a company. This is basically a guy made this. Avi Schiffman made this. A 21-year-old Harvard dropout, which I have no problem with.
Right.
I have no problem with being a Harvard dropout. Lots of very famous Harvard dropouts have been very successful. I'm not sure about this guy. So here's a little history on this guy. Avi previously was a Webby Award winner. So he won a Webby back in, I think it was 2020, during COVID. He created a COVID tracker. So he created this tracker, got a Webby Award. Some things kind of came out afterwards, though, that the data he was getting was actually scraped from an existing website called BNO, and he wasn't actually correlating the data at all. He was just stealing it, basically. And the map that he used, which was the other kind of super cool part on his COVID tracking website, he kind of stole that too from some people, allegedly, that created the map on Reddit. And that was basically his entire site. And he put this thing together, accepted the awards, got to meet Elon Musk in the process and do all this crazy stuff that he got to do and make these other companies. So he's kind of got like, I don't know, I'm going to call him a scammer, but he's kind of got a shady background, let's say, previously to this. So what do you do with $2.5 million when given it for a new startup? Surely R&D, new piece of hardware,
Lamborghini,
manufacturing, Lamborghini if you're really shady. Maybe you think about manufacturing the hardware, something like that, R&D, something along those lines. But no, Avi spent 1.8 million of the 2.5 million on the domain name friend.com. That's right. Friend.com is worth...
the Lambo. He just bought a domain.
He bought a domain. Friend.com is worth $1.8 million. At least that's what he bought it for. That's where the majority of this money went. It went to buying the domain. Some people have called this smart in that it's a marketing move, but spending that much of that $2.5 million on a hardware startup seems a little shady to me.
Why don't you get like friend.io or something like that? Like friend.ai. I'm pretty sure AI is a TLD now. Like, what?
Let's see if that exists.
Yeah, well, I'm sure somebody's...
I'm sure it's been bought, but like it's going to be a lot cheaper than $1.8 million.
100% it is. Friend.com is one of the... It must be one of the top kind of like sought after domains, I would think. Obviously, that's why they paid $1.8 million for it. Why they spent all the money on that, I have no idea. There's also a couple of other things going on here. Like, there's another guy who's also creating a hardware startup that is a pendant on a necklace that is also called friend.
Shut up.
So I kid you not, there's another guy who started a similar startup who claims to have started it before. They're in kind of this like war of words at the moment, and they're talking about having a fight between them, kind of sort of Musk and Zuckerberg style. So strange. So who's signed up? Who's pre-ordered? Anybody? Yeah. $99. You want to pre-order this thing?
I'm just looking for domains I can sell him, because you always need the second level domain.
You do need a sucker to buy your domain, don't you? So this guy might be it.
So friend.sucks is available for $999.
Perfect. What about like friend.ai or friend.io?
Yeah, you can get those. I don't know how much they are. I'm looking through here.
Yeah.
Significantly cheaper than 1.8 million. I can tell you that.
100%.
For sure.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
IO is $12,000, so that's a bargain.
That is a definite comparative bargain.
I need to buy this one and then upsell him.
Right?
Just telling me he needs all the friend domains. Spend the rest of your money from your Series A funding on other domains that you should forward to friend.com, right?
Yeah.
So with the massive failures of previous AI hardware in the space, who on earth invests in this? And why do then you then allow that person to spend the majority of that money on a domain name?
Yeah.
Like, does this not just have scam written all over it?
Yeah.
Is
it just me?
ChatGPT for sure, or
well, they haven't said what LLM it is, but 100%.
It's one of them.
That comes back to the fact that it doesn't have a subscription. It is definitely one of the cloud-based LLMs, no question in my mind. They haven't said which one. It has a cost against it too.
Yeah, I don't know how he's. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if this thing ever comes out. It feels like money grab scam to me, written all over it.
Did Elon announce it? Then it's definitely not coming out.
Maybe he's backing this. I don't know. But yeah, you can give him $99 right now.
2.5 million feels like really low to me, though. Like, I know it's $2.5 million.
I agree.
But like for an investment of like this kind, I would expect a whole lot more than that. But
so maybe there's more funding coming, or the hope of more funding coming, because maybe they don't. Well, clearly, with the money they have left, they don't have enough money to set up manufacturing, right?
No.
So they have to have more money coming in, to be able to create manufacturing to actually push this thing out.
Well, they have to raise it on Kickstarter or something like that,
right?
Yeah, but they're not. They've just raised it from VCs. So are they just hoping more VCs will come in and fund this thing?
Yeah,
I don't know. It just seems like the biggest It seems like the area that scammers want to concentrate on at the moment is like AI hardware. It just seems like a big market for just putting out what is essentially a Bluetooth speaker, or Bluetooth microphone, actually, not even speaker.
Microphone.
It doesn't have a speaker, yeah.
It doesn't even have, it's $100 Bluetooth microphone that you strap around your neck. Like, who knows what the battery life is like? Who knows how good it is? We don't know. Nobody owns this yet. It's just, it's a pure demo video. That's it.
And so I don't struggle with mental health issues, like, ever. And I really have a hard time figuring out the kind of person that would need this kind of device. Like, because all it is like listening to you and being like, oh,
that's another good point. I don't know if this is even a good idea.
Right.
Is the idea of having an AI friend even a good idea? I don't know. I don't know if somebody would find that helpful or not. Like, is it good to have like an affirming like voice, even though it's not a real voice, like an affirming text every so often that says, kind of, you got this? Because that's the example that it gives. The example that it gives is that there's a lady walking outside and it recognizes she's outside and it texts her randomly, just says, well, at least we're outside.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like
who needs that?
I don't know. Maybe somebody does, and there is a product market for this.
Sure.
I don't know that there is, but
it's definitely not me. Like, I'm not the target demographic.
Here's the other problem with AI in general, and we'll talk about this in every segment. It's like it has like memory loss. It won't remember everything that you've ever done, like your friend will.
Right.
And you'll never be able to ask, hey, remember that time when we went to that party back in high school?
Well, we know it'll make it up when you ask it that
and
right
you
now.
jump in the pool.
It's like, yeah.
Well, right now, it'll say, exactly. Right now, you can give the AI a backstory like that, and it'll say, I remember that. I remember being there, and then Dwayne did this one thing. It's like, dude, you weren't there. It never happened, and you weren't there.
Right.
It's like Chris Farley in that sketch. Remember that? Remember when you did that? That was cool.
Yes. but the AI version of that. I don't know why we want it. I don't know.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening or watching that thinks this is a great idea and would actually buy one of these, please leave us a comment. Because I'm super interested in who the market is.
Yep.
So here's the interesting thing, because we've actually, like at my company, we've had discussions about this kind of technology, basically. And there are some people in the company who think that, like, because we develop kids technology, that kids would interact with an AI person and, like, you know, and you can kind of tell how they're feeling based on these interactions. And I was so skeptical until, like, I launched a support chat on our website, and the amount of kids that chat into our support chat is like mind blowing. And I'm like, oh, you know what? There might be a market for this, because, like, it's so funny because, like, the phone is very locked down, and they can only, like, if they try and open up the web, they can access any of the websites that their parents have entered, or
whitelisted,
or the TrueMe website.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know.
So they get the website, and then there's this chat, you know, and so they keep chatting with the chat. But like I send stuff all the time to, like, the rest of my team, going like, man, kids really bored, because, like, they'll ask it like, hey, sing me a song about pickles and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it has like it goes into my KB articles and can tell you stuff about your phone. They're like, it's not ChatGPT. It can't help you with anything other than a problem with your phone. So
maybe that says that there is a thing. Maybe there is a space for this. Maybe we're just the wrong with the wrong people for this.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying.
Wrong
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I do think human connection is important. I don't think the AI can ever replace that. I mean, maybe if you're having a bad day, you can talk to the AI, but ultimately, it's not healthy.
I don't.
You know,
well, because it's always going to ultimately agree with you, isn't it? Too. That's the other thing. It's only ever going to
tell you to do crazy things.
Exactly.
You never know what it's going to say.
Rocks. Go ahead and eat rocks, and
yes,
and put glue in your pizza. So in our continued topic of the U.S. versus China, 2 U.S. lawmakers want the Biden administration to probe China's TP-Link routers. Now, I have a TP-Link router. I think the other guys here have a TP-Link router.
The trifecta.
Yeah.
They've got all 3 of us. I mean, and I come from the IT space. I did extensive research on routers, and that was the one I wanted to go with. So Republican Representative John Molinier and Democratic Representative Raja, not going to butcher his last name, it's right there. They lead the House Select Committee on China, and they requested the Commerce Department to probe to TP-Link, saying that they believe that TP-Link is basically a sleeper cell, and China is going to, like, come into all of the government agencies and homes and steal a bunch of information via these TP-Link routers. So what do you guys think? Well, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We started with TikTok. We're going with TP-Link next. I keep saying this, like, I think I said it like a year ago, that they're going to go after Lenovo at some point, because Lenovo is a Chinese-based brand. And they're going to just keep going after these technology companies. And is this a good thing that we're going after them? Do you think China's spying on us through technology? What do you guys think?
I think China's trying to spy on us with technology. I do think that this is one of those cases where just get the router, buy one at Home Depot, hand it to NSA, and tell us what it's doing. Like, they can do that.
Yeah.
Instead of just being nebulous about it. Well, we're going to start an investigation, a probe into this. And you have the routers. They're in every store in America. Go buy them all and look at them. Like, it's pretty easy problem to solve. And if there's I know they sell different levels of stuff, so they probably have a more commercial division. So if they're worried about the commercial routers, the ones that are sold, for companies, same router, just 10 times the price. But just look at them. I don't understand like what it is. And if they're doing something, ban them.
Right.
I don't think so. Firstly, I think obviously, man, if I have to go buy a new router now, I only just bought this one last year, and it cost I don't know $400 or whatever it was. I bought the nice mesh one; it was good, and it was. I like you, Sarah, did a bunch of research. It was like one of the ones that was like good price point, like great technology. TP-Link's the way to go. But maybe that's, now you think about this though, maybe that's also by design. you know what I mean? Maybe it's somehow subsidized, right? But I think the issue here is that I don't think it's an always on problem, Bobby. I think it's like you can't buy these things and then say, oh, every time you plug it in, it's like communicating data back to China. I think it could, and there are security loopholes in it. Like, so there are security issues with it, but there are security issues in every router.
All of them.
The difference is the security issues here in this router just happen to expose it to the fact that China could grab that data versus, as I've said before, the US grabbing the data from somebody like Netgear. So they all have their own security issues. It's just who's in charge of where those security loopholes could be exploited. I think that's the issue here. I think ultimately, like Sarah said, the only end game here is that we ban all technology from China, which is insane.
That's what they want to do.
But I think
they do.
I think that's where we're heading. I genuinely think that's where we're heading. We're saying if the company that controls the data that we're sending to the hardware, software, whatever it is not US based, or in this case is just China based, then we're just going to ban it. So don't forget, this is the same way. It's not only software issues, it's also hardware issues. So we've also seen hardware backdoors, right? Remember Cisco and Huawei and those ZTA phones that they proved had hardware backends in them.
But they proved the Huawei thing.
They did because they were hardware based, and it wasn't like a security hole like this one is. I think this one is like that there is a software security hole potentially in this, and because of that security hole, it allows China to get in. Whereas if it was US based, like Netgear, there's the same kind of security holes, but they're not concerned about them because we know the data's not leaving the country, right? We know that the only people reading that data are, let's say, NSA. Exactly. Yeah. That's the only difference here.
Yeah.
And the end game, like Sarah says, ban everything from China. That's the way we're going. And I don't know if that's good or bad. It's
easier for them to just, like, they could easily just set up a tariff on all of these things and just tariff them out of business.
Well, don't forget, they literally banned. There's that entity list where you literally can't even import Huawei stuff into the US. Right. It's on a no-go list, whatever they call it, the entity list.
I think it was pretty rock solid of it. Whatever they found was pretty bad.
Well, it has to be, I think, to make that list.
Yeah.
Well, and like we mentioned last time when we were talking about the Temu stuff, or Temu or whatever, but it's so different in a stark contrast. Like, so the TikTok lawsuit and the Temu and this one, the one against Temu has all of this data in the lawsuit of like, this is what is happening. And that's what's missing from the TikTok one and from this one, where they're just kind of vague, like, it's from China, so let's be scared of it. Like,
yeah, it does have that same vibe as the TikTok one, doesn't it? Like, we can't really tell you what's going on, but let's just say that there is something.
Right.
But again, without telling you. At least, you're right, at least the Temu one told us stuff, but don't forget, Temu did answer us too.
Correct,
and denied all of those allegations. So, you know.
Denied them all.
Denied them
We're
all.
Get another letter.
let's not bring them up
Sorry,
again. I don't want to. Allegedly, whatever Temu's doing.
The Chinese government's coming after the Not Know podcast.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
They know we have routers now. They're gonna they're hacking our homes.
They're
right
like,
now.
oh, you have the TP link. Very nice.
Yes, TP link. If you see this, please don't send us emails telling us why. Like you don't even know because we don't.
We don't know. Like, but I'm just saying it would be easily provable. Like, even if it's a hardware security thing, there's got to be a phone home option in it. Like, they could, or something. And if it is a PSA where they need to tell us something, tell us what it is, and then we'll get rid.
I'll get rid of my TP link router. Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
I think they're just going to ban it. I think that's going to be the thing. I think they are. I think if you have an existing one, you're going to be able to use it. But I think they're going to do the same thing as Huawei and just end up banning all the hardware coming in. Which sucks because if you look at, I mean, the reason that I bought this particular brand, again, as I mentioned before, was that it was affordable. Even though $300-400 is not cheap, but
No.
It's in the same range as the Netgear
well,
one.
it's not
Yeah.
though. Compared to the Netgear one, it was
What's
like the
$150
Netgear one.
difference? Yeah.
No. The Netgear one is like $1,000
Oh, okay.
for the
Are you
Wi-Fi 6E
7?
one.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
are you
like the Wi-Fi 6E one is like, I think it was $1,100-1,200 something. It was very, very, very expensive compared. Because I was like, I would buy the Netgear one if it was $100 difference,
No.
but it wasn't. It wasn't even close. It was so much. It was so much more.
No.
It was because it was the mesh network too.
Sure.
Yeah, 2-pack is.
The Orbi probably.
I'm looking at
yeah.
now. It's $1,600 for a 2-pack.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I even underestimated the value. Yeah, it's very expensive.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Orbi.
No, I do have the black edition in my shopping cart. So,
he's
classic
he's
white
ready to switch.
But that's the problem. We may have to
Six-
switch.
Yeah.
$16.99 for the classic white, Kevin. So it doesn't matter.
Yikes. That is
Yeah.
so
Black.
much.
I mean, that's a lot of money, right? And they
Yeah.
really are. Yeah, and the I had the Orbi before the
Yeah.
other one that wasn't the 6 series, and that
Yeah.
cost enough. And then that got outdated, so I bought a 6, and now the 6E, and now there's a 7. It's like it's moving. The technology's moving fast.
Yeah.
But if you want good quality like mesh networks, they're expensive.
The
With
good
the
thing is
exception
the
of TP-Link.
6E stuff is really quick right now. So like going to 7 is not really as big as a jump
Huge
as it
jump.
was.
Yeah.
The 6E was a huge jump over
It was.
the other ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm getting gigabit in here, like I wanted a gigabit Wi-Fi too. So it was like I needed that. So the old system didn't have that. The new one does.
Okay, so you're at home late one night, it's 4:00 in the morning, and you look out in a parking lot full of cars and they start honking at each other. What do you do? Do you
Call the
think
cops,
they're
right?
talking to
'Cause
each
it's a
other?
fight outside.
Do you think they're talking to each other? Has the AI taken over? And this is what happened to Waymos. The robo taxis are trying to park themselves in their like lot where they go to at night. And so, it's kind of like the secret life of pets, the secret life of AI cars. Where do they go at night? What are they doing? Well, apparently they're just honking at each other. So the software says if I see a car backing up to me, I'm going to honk at them. And they got in this endless loop where they just honk and honk and honk at each other like a classic New Yorker. That's kind of how New Yorkers are. So I looked at several AI fails in recent memory, which is kind of cool, kind of like this, where, I don't know, Zillow, where they turn their AI loose, buy all the
yes.
houses you can. And it did.
bought too many.
It bought them all.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
they had
gosh.
to lay off, thousands of employees and
Full
turn it
disclosure,
off.
when this happened to you, by the way, I had Zillow stock and it
Yeah.
killed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I didn't have a lot, but I had enough that it lost a little bit.
So,
Wow.
and a lot of times when we look at, if you just Google AI fails, it's always ChatGPT making a funny meme or something like that. And people get stressed out over that. But as we go into this like interconnected devices and things, the stakes get a little bit higher. Like, what can these cars do? There was a Tesla car that they had a death in the car where a tractor trailer went across the windshield of the car on autopilot. It was a bright white day. The truck was white and the brake wasn't applied and went underneath the tractor trailer, killed the driver. And so it couldn't distinguish between the bright white sky and the thing. And so like, while, Tesla came out and you can read it on their blog, like 1 in 68 million people die in car wrecks every year. And we've had one. I mean, it kind of rings on deaf ears when that happens because like, you feel like if you're in control, you had a shot.
Right.
And so this is where AI is going to have to be perfect. The level, the bar is up here, is way up here for these devices. And it's funny, but it's also weird when you see it because like software always does exactly what you tell it to do. It just doesn't do what you thought it would do,
Right.
And so that's the way software works. And one of the things about AI that I find interesting is like the things that it has, which is one of the problems is what's called catastrophic memory loss. And so like they'll teach AI, hey, recognize deep fakes, for example. And when the simple ones came out, it could easily determine a deep fake. And then the more sophisticated ones came out and they said, okay, now do this. And it says, okay, I can recognize those, but it forgot how to do the easy ones. And so what it does, it's like Alzheimer's almost, where it if you teach it something else, it forgets about the other thing. And it has a really big problem with what's called catastrophic memory loss. And so these things don't carry over like a human brain does, where you remember when you were a child, you put your hand on the hot stove. That carries the rest of your life. Even if you have a scar or don't have a scar, you remember it forever. It's a vivid memory. AI doesn't do that. And so there's some I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think the cars were talking to each other? That's the conspiracy theory. Like, they're talking to each other, planning the demise of, San Francisco. I do think Waymo's cool, though. I do really think this is going to be a thing for us in the future. Like, we're going to have driverless cars that drive around.
I think in this case, this is just an edge case they didn't think of.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense that the car would honk, right? If something's going to reverse into it, it would honk. It doesn't know that it's another AI car trying to reverse into it, right? It just knows, hey, something is going to reverse into me, therefore honk the horn, let them know I'm there, right? It makes sense. What they didn't think was they're all going to go to the same parking lot, and literally they're just going to go back and forth and start honking at each other as one tries to reverse into the other. I mean, literally, I'm guessing there could be a standoff. What if two try to reverse into each other, and there's like literally a standoff where they just keep honking?
Well, that's what was happening. They couldn't figure out.
It's just an edge case, right? It's just an edge case that they just didn't think of. And it makes me wonder how many other edge cases have they not thought of?
Right.
Because my guess is lots. There's going to be lots that are going to come about. Maybe this thing needs to learn all these different edge cases. I saw a follow-up to this that said they fixed it. You see the follow-up story? It said that they fixed the issue, right? And then I saw the very next day, they fixed it through software, which is great. Yeah. Right? Yeah, just throw out a software update to all the cars. Awesome. Fixed. Right. Good to go. The next day, there was more video of people with the same issues. Like, I don't think you quite think you've done what you think you've done.
Well, they
the same problem.
They went into a cul-de-sac and just kept going. But the funny thing with that is, and you guys are software developers, so you totally get it. But the way you think this, okay, I know the software is going to work like this, but you don't have other people's brains and you don't use the technology the way this person does and that person does. Yeah. And so that's how you find the bugs, is because you release it out into the world and they're like, oh, I didn't think that people would do that with it, Yeah. And exactly this, so when it's based on software, there are going to be it's a bug, obviously, but where when it's in the real world, you're like, oh, I didn't think it would do that. And there's just going to be so many
and even if it did do that, right, you wouldn't think. So again, it's a good use case for it to honk when something's in front of it. Right. But it's not a good use case when it's 4 a.m. in the morning too, right? That's the other thing. It didn't take into account the time of day at all, or its location, that it's in the middle of apartment complexes. I will link the original video, by the way, in the description, because the original video is actually funny to watch. It's not very long, but the lady that's commenting on it, filming it out of her window, because she's literally sat there on her phone. It does have not safe for work language in it. Sure. She's basically like, it's effing 4 a.m. What are these cars doing? Yeah. She's so annoyed. And I would be too.
I would so be annoyed.
Because this is a constant thing for them. This is not a one-off. This has been happening for a while. And it took them, literally this video to go viral for them to even address this.
Right.
So what I don't understand is, why doesn't the software say, oh, this is another Waymo car?
Right.
We don't need to
program that into
it. It's Again, edge case. They just didn't think that through, did they?
Yeah. So again, if it's another car, it's another human, because it seems like they could give a nonverbal to another Waymo car.
Oh, for sure.
You just have to honk it. You can't hear the honk. I mean,
it's not reacting to the honk, I'm guessing. Although maybe it is. Maybe it is, though. Maybe there are speakers on that do react. I don't know, but I don't think though. I think it's just cameras, right? I don't think it reacts to sound.
I've never heard that it's interacting with sound. Yeah. The guy's leaning out the window. Hey, buddy, move it.
Your Waymo's like, I'm moving here. I'm moving.
I'm moving.
It's answering back.
George Costanza, the Seinfeld episode. I'm not moving.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of additional things they have to think about with these. And I've always said there's this weird time frame between going fully autonomous for everything and humans and autonomy working at the same time. And there's always going to be these weird edge cases. And like you said, there's going to be, the bar is so high for AI, where as for normal people, like you mentioned, Tesla is going to point out that there's many car fatalities, but as soon as we hear one that's caused by AI, it does feel different, right?
It does feel different, because you feel like you had a chance if you were driving. I would have never done that, but people do it every day, so but us as humans, we feel like we would never do that. Yeah. Because we feel like we would react differently. But it is weird, though. I do think that we are a long ways away, though, because I do think they're rolling out in these specific cities for a reason, is that San Francisco can be mapped. Some of these grid-based cities can be mapped. Kevin, you come to our tech capital, the word Kernersville.
Good luck.
It's gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
So,
Good luck.
you know.
The city planner here was drunk, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of curves, every now and then we'll get a circle, where you can go around in traffic, but then a lot of times, right turns only.
I think this is still in test, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's still a test. Even though this is public and anybody can jump in one of these, it's still a test. I still think I would jump in one for a short ride. I know you wouldn't, Sarah. I know it's not your worst nightmare.
No, it is my worst nightmare in the whole world.
I would go on a short ride just to see.
I think a taxi cab in New York feels dangerous.
Oh, 100%. Every time I'm in a taxi cab in New York, I have to close my eyes and just trust that I'll get to where I'm going.
You see, and the reason is, yes, because we know, I think they're kind of prone to having accidents, and you look at the car when you get in, it's like, this thing's beat up, man. Why is it so good? Oh, because he's had a million accidents in it. I just don't want to be the next one.
Yeah.
And they get so close to the other cars.
Oh,
there. I literally cannot look when I am in a New York taxi. I would rather walk from Central Park down to the Statue of Liberty than get in a taxi. That is how much I'm scared of taxis in New York.
Yeah, I'm more scared of the subway. So.
I would get in the subway.
All day.
Subway all day.
Subway all day.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, that's too many people. So.
Well, the people side, but yeah, give me the subway any day. But I don't know. I mean, I guess, I wonder if we'll see this kind of thing in New York. I don't know. It would be the ultimate test for it.
Oh, gosh.
I think, let me not say impossible. It's really hard. The road situation, just the edge cases.
Yeah,
the edge cases
walkers,
in New York,
bikers, crazy people.
Yeah,
just also people
scooters.
Just darting in and out of traffic, scooters. If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's
the ultimate test.
That's the song. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. New York,
That's it, Waymo.
New York.
Get to New York. We need you to fulfill the prophecy of the song.
And because they can't control, there are so many things that other people do in New York on the road that, I guarantee it's not programmed for.
I agree. There's more edge cases. If they can't figure out the parking lot honking edge case in San Francisco, the million of edge cases that are going to be in New York are just far exceed this. I don't know.
And then suburban America, and then even rural America, it just seems really hard. If you've ever been in rural America trying to drive around, for us, the state of Virginia, or any of the back roads, there are no street lights. It is dark at night, and it's going to have a hard time trying to find the road. I think, it's difficult, even for a regular driver. You feel and then you factor in weather, rain, and all those other things. It's I don't know, but I would love to have a car that I could just send out and get food for me. That would be amazing.
If I don't have to get in it, sure, great.
It could go pick up the groceries. That'd be amazing. Reverse
I do want
DoorDash.
the fully. I would like the fully autonomous car, the one that I just say I get in and I say take me to the beach 5 hours away, and it just takes me to the beach, and I don't have to drive and concentrate for 5 hours, and it just takes me there. I would love that. And I can do something else. I can watch a movie or something.
The problem is they'll never roll out a hybrid system that says this will be autonomous on a highway, which I think it could really do. But the moment you come off the highway, you've got to take control. But if you gave that to a lot of people, they'll go to sleep in the back.
Exactly.
Right.
They do it now. We've seen videos on. There's videos online of people literally sleeping in a Tesla with full self-driving on.
It's so dangerous, and so you can't give it to people because they're dumb. I mean, they'll just do dumb things with that.
Humanity is doomed because of humanity, right?
Yeah.
And it just needs, if you fall asleep in the back seat of the car, it just needs to pull over on the side and go, I guess you need to sleep.
I'll wait.
That would be amazing.
But then you know what would happen? You'd have people who would invent masks that make you look like you're awake, but you're actually asleep to trick the self-driving car. I'm going to invent that right now.
You get your blanket out and you're like, okay, wake me up when we get to the beach, and you fall asleep and you're still in the driveway when you wake up 5 hours later.
It's sorry, you fell asleep, bro. I'm not, I'll wait. You're good.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. A couple of things I could ask you to do. Could you please let a friend know about the podcast? That would be amazing. You could also leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to get notifications of new episodes. You can also drop us an email. Where can they drop that email to, Sarah?
The Not Null Podcast at AOL.com.
That's it. And you can also drop us a text message. The link is in the description below. And we will see everybody next week.
In the city streets, where the silence was sweet, now there's a noise, makes it hard to sleep. They say it's the future, just around the bend, but this constant sound, when will it end? Beep, beep, Waymo's on the move, honking through the night, what's their proof? Beep, beep, echo in the air, Waymo's got us tangled in a tech nightmare. They promised us peace, with cars that drive alone, but this endless noise feels like a drone. Fix is on the way, but it's taking too long. In the streets we love, where we belong. Beep, beep, Waymo's on the move, honking through the night, what's their proof? Beep, beep, echo in the air, Waymo's got us tangled in a tech nightmare. Once a dream of freedom, now a symphony of sound. We're living in the future, but it's breaking us down. In this race to progress, did we leave behind the simple peace, the quiet of mind? Beep, beep, Waymo's on the move, honking through the night, what's their proof? Beep, beep, echo in the air, Waymo's got us tangled in a tech nightmare. Once a dream of freedom, now a symphony of sound. We're living in the future, but it's breaking us down. In this race to progress, did we leave behind the simple peace, the quiet of mind? Beep, beep, Waymo's on the move, honking through the night, what's their proof? Beep, beep, echo in the air, Waymo's got us tangled in a tech nightmare.